Next up on our garden tour is the beet bed. Now, the way that I go about planting my beets is I use Charles Dowding's method, which is to do a multi-sown beet. You might be wondering, what does that mean? What is a multi-sown beet? So sowing is when you plant your seeds. Now, there's two different ways to plant beets. You can plant your beets directly in the ground, or you can pre-seed them or sow them in a cell. So a cell would be any type of like a cube pack or a plastic container, maybe an egg carton you could use. And what you're going to do is instead of just putting one beet seed per cell, you're going to do 4 beet seeds per cell. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to grow a tremendous amount of beets in a very small space. Now, there are some negatives to this method. The biggest negative that I've heard is that the beets are a little bit smaller. Personally, I'd rather have more beets than size. So I'm okay with having a slightly smaller beet set. Now, in my beet bed, I have 2 different types of beets. I have a nice dark, deep red beet, and then I also have some golden beets. We're going to use them for different purposes in our kitchen. So our dark beets are really good in salads. They're also really good for making beet soup. Our golden beets are phenomenal if you like a charcuterie board, or if you want to do any roasting. Both of them are delicious. And the golden beets just have a slightly sweeter flavor, while the red beets I've found have a typically more earthy flavor. In addition, besides just using the beets, you can also use the beet tops. So you can use these beet leaves just as you would Swiss chard. So you can cut them up, you can grill them, you can saute them, you can use them any way you want in your kitchen that you would use Swiss chard. Next up on our garden tour is our eggplant and cucumber section of this bed. So this is actually one long bed. So it goes beets, celery, eggplant, and then we have our zucchini here as well. And finally at the end, I'm going to show you the sunflowers. So with my celery, I put my celery out again late April, early May, and they look like they're doing just fine. And then I planted my eggplant, and as you can see, my eggplant, some of them are doing a lot better than others, and a lot of that has to do with the amount of sun that they're receiving. What I'll end up doing is I will end up trimming some of the foliage around the eggplant that's closer to the beets and to the celery to give it a little bit more light, a little bit more of a boost. I may also add some compost, so you don't feel like you can't add enough compost. You can add more and more compost whenever you want. So if you're looking for something to do in the garden, you can always add more compost. Now we're going to move on over to the zucchini and to the sunflowers, and I'm going to take you through what I do for those 2 plants. The next part of our garden tour is the zucchini and the sunflower bed. And again, this is all part of that beet bed. So this is one big bed that I created this year, actually. And we're going to walk you through that process later on in the season. And what you'll notice is that in this bed, I have these black things. And you might be wondering, what are those? So what we do with these is we have a really big squash vine borer problem here in New Jersey. And so the way that I found that best mitigates them is I cover this with an insect cloth. So you can find that online at any of the garden supply centers. And as you can see, my zucchini are doing fantastic. So they look great. They're starting to flower. You might notice that you get a couple little crinkly looking zucchini, totally normal. In the next probably 2 weeks, these will get taken out and our zucchini will just be free to grow. We're also going to do a second planting of zucchini, which we'll walk you through later on in the season. My sunflowers really don't need a lot of care. As you can see, I planted 4 of them pretty close together, which is the method here, right? So we're trying to cram as much stuff as we can into our garden beds as possible. In addition, we will be doing some additional compost applications here, so we'll be adding a little bit more compost. So this could be compost that you're created at home, or it could be compost that you've purchased. Whatever compost it is, you want to make sure that it's weed-free. So you want to make sure that it's a nice heated compost. So a good mushroom compost. You could even use some manure for these types of plants. And the whole idea is squash are going to be heavy feeders. So we're going to want to feed the soil to try and get the best crop we can get out of our zucchini. In addition, we're going to walk you through how to harvest the zucchini flower, and you can use it in all sorts of different dishes. For today's episode, what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on some harvesting. We're going to be harvesting garlic today, and we're also going to be harvesting shallots. So the garlic this year was planted out a little bit late. I planted it at the end of February. It's now the very beginning of July. We harvested the scapes last week, so the garlic plants have had a full week to put more energy into the bulbs. And the shallots are just about ready to be pulled. And we can tell this because the shallot plants look like they're about dead. They look like they're starting to die. So the greenery is starting to droop. And we have some really nice shallot bulbs that have come in. We also have some really, really beautiful garlic bulbs that have come in as well. The other thing that you'll notice is that my leaves are starting to yellow or have significantly yellowed on my garlic plants. And the way that we're going to harvest them is actually very simple. So all we're going to do, so this is a smaller garlic plant here. All we're going to do is we're going to just grab it by the base, and we're going to start to just wiggle it around like this, and just give it a gentle, just twist, twist, and a pull. And there it comes out. And this is it. So this is a beautiful garlic bulb. You're going to notice that it's got a nice paper on it. Looks wonderful. We're going to cut these roots off. We're going to put them back into the garden bed. And then I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to dry our garlic. So we're going to dry this garlic. This year, my wife and I had enough garlic to make it just about to today. So we had to buy garlic, I think, maybe once or twice, which is fantastic, right? So you can do this right in your own yard. So right in your own backyard, you can grow fresh, beautiful garlic that has just an exquisite taste. All right, I'm going to show you again for a second time how to harvest our garlic bulbs. So here we go. Here's our garlic plant. You'll notice it looks beautiful, right? A little bit of yellowing down here, totally normal. So here we go. I'm going to twist and just gently pull it out, right? So it's going to take a little bit of work, but just gentle, just twisting, 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 and then give it a nice tug. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, right? So look at the size of that garlic bulb. Beautiful, beautiful garlic bulb. Absolutely beautiful. Perfect. So we just harvested our garlic, and now we're going to harvest our shallots. And as you can see, my garden bed right here doesn't look so great. There's a little bit of Swiss chard. Everything looks kind of like overgrown and very drab, right? So the shallots look like they're kind of dying, or they just look horrible. And this is our sign that these shallots are ready to be pulled. Now, the plant that I'm going to show you, or the plant that I'm going to pull, is a really, really big shallot plant, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And so the way that I'm going to pull it is, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just start here on the edges, and I'm just going to just gently pull it up, gently pull it up. And once I get it pulled out, what am I going to notice? Look how beautiful these shallots are. Absolutely beautiful. So just to show you from a distance, beautiful, right? So absolutely beautiful. And I'm just going to continue to pull them out. And they're going to be easy to separate. So they're going to just pull right apart. And they look delicious, right? So these are going to just be like an onion, right? So I'm going to use them just the same that I would use an onion. And my whole bed is filled with these shallots, right? So I'm going to just keep pulling them out the same way that I did before, just a gentle tug. Here's another one. Some of them are going to be small, some of them are going to be really large. Either way, they're going to be delicious. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to prep our garlic for curing. I tend to find that this is normally like the scariest part for first-time garlic growers. And what's funny is it's actually really, really simple. So what we're going to do is, I have here a sifter. This is actually from my compost. But But you can use any type of basket. You don't even need a basket. You could just kind of lay them out. And we're going to talk about prepping your garlic before we do some hanging. So we are going to hang the garlic, but we have to wait a week before we start to hang it. And the reason we're going to wait is because we just want to get everything as dry as possible. So your garlic plant, if you look at it, it's going to still be wet, right? This is a living plant, so there's going to be a lot of moisture in here. So if I pull this back, there's lots of moisture in here. We don't want any moisture, right? Moisture means mold, and we want our garlic to last through the whole season. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we're going to do first is we're going to trim these root ends. So if you look here, we have these beautiful root ends. This is a fantastic garlic bulb. What we're going to do is we're going to take our shears. You can use a really sharp knife. Doesn't really matter. And we're going to take it and we're going to just clip it right at the end here. So we're going to just clip it. We're going to take our roots. We don't want to throw them away. Everything is going to get reused. So this is going to end up in our compost. So we're going to put our roots in there and we're going to have our nice clipped garlic bulb. It's okay that it's dirty. Personally, I think it lasts a lot longer if we don't remove this first set of skin here. So we're going to leave this plant just like this, and we're going to set it in here with a little bit of space, and we're going to end up setting them all up and putting them in the shade for a week. So what are shady areas? Your garage is a shady area. Your shed is a shady area. Anywhere that they're under cover, they're not going to get rained on. They're not going to get messed with your kids or with anybody else. You want them to just just rest, okay? So I like to think of this as our garlic is going to take a nice rest for a week, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hang it. And I'm going to show you next week how we go about hanging our garlic, which is really, really a simple step. That's all for today. If you like what you see, click the link below to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, reach out to me in the comments.